Too punctual.
Too punctual. It's almost like I live in Germany or something.
Um,
Let me make sure that we're live on X. We are live on X. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, wow.
ha ha ha.
That's a bad joke.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a dad
That is,
joke.
it is a dad joke. I am not a father. Okay. So today's episode is for you, Larry. I hope that you were able to attend. I assume that you're out there watching and looking forward to Rodolfo and I chatting about glassware. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got about 10 glasses in front of me. And I will honestly tell you, I use one of them pretty much always. So I will, and Rodolfo will explain the difference and the importance of having different kinds of glassware when you're enjoying your wine. But I will be very honest with you and tell you that this is my go-to right here. And it's the Salto Universal. Giving it away at the beginning. And Rodolfo has his one winner, I believe, as well.
I do. I have my universal glass.
Wow, it's very like matrixy.
Oh yeah.
Background.
It's
Ooh, is it real?
It is real. Or is it real? I don't know.
Are you real?
Am I real? What pill did I take?
I'm in my kitchen and the window's open and all I can hear is the streetcar. So hang on. Rodolfo, entertain the crowd.
Yeah, we have the T here, not a streetcar, but I bet the German trains are much better.
Well, except that every time, like if I'm on the phone, like a real phone call, not a Zoom or a Teams or whatever, then every time the streetcar goes by, I lose connection, which is funny. But
Wow.
someone can explain to me why that happens. Anyway, all right, guys, we got off to a weird start because we were on time, and I think it threw us off.
It threw us off.
But this is Wine Wednesday, so welcome back to Wine
Welcome,
Wednesday.
everyone. I think our first one about glassware.
It is our first one. I guess this is also probably one of the first ones where I'm actually not drinking wine, or at least like 0% wine because it's dry January or something embarrassing. I am actually not drinking a wine today, but I have a lot of empty glasses in front of me, which feels like sacrilege. I'm just going to introduce myself because some of you may be new here. I am Jana, one of the co-founders of dVIN Labs and Club dVIN, and I am joined today by Rodolfo, who is my fellow co-founder of Club dVIN and dVIN Labs. Rodolfo, do you want to?
We just go by my first name. We don't use my last name.
I like to call Rodolfo Rod in our team calls. So
yep.
I would love for our members to start putting that in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's one of my personal favorites, Rod. But I don't. I'm delighted to join today to talk about glassware.
Larry, we love you, Larry. Okay, should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Okay, first things first, we need to settle this. Do you need, and I really gave away the punchline at the beginning, but do you need a different glass for every wine or every grape variety? Rodolfo, what would you say to that?
Oh my goodness. In an ideal world where there would be no practical constraints or any other type of constraints of any kind, I think you probably need a handful of glasses that are varietally sensitive. But in the real world, no, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I don't.
So I would say, since I have like 10 glasses in front of me, I would agree with you. And for those of you watching who don't know us, Rodolfo and I, we are actually wine experts. We're not just shit talking here on X and YouTube.
Beep.
Beep. So we've both worked in the industry for a long time, both WSET diploma holders, Rodolfo, master wine candidate. Bam. I am going to show the 4 glasses that I think would probably be good to have on hand and to experiment with. The first one, I think that you kind of just need to have. Okay, so first of all, I think you need to have a universal glass. Like I said, this is the glass that I use for everything. Really, like it's my day to day. If I'm just opening a bottle of wine and like It could be a really nice bottle of wine, or it could be a basic entry level glass bottle of wine. I'm pretty much always just pulling this off the shelf because it kind of works with everything. This is a Salto glass. It's super thin. I'll explain a little bit more about Salto and why so many wine enthusiasts love it. This is not a sponsored episode. This is just a glass that I really like. I've also got like 8 Riedel glasses in front of me. But yeah, we'll kind of get through it. So one, to rule them all, it's good to have a universal glass, which you can, have red, white, rosé, even champagne in. But there is a Burgundy glass that I think a lot of you will be familiar with. This is a stemless version. This is from a Riedel collection it's the varietal collection. I don't know if it's actually called that, but it's basically, it'll say on the bottom, this one says Pinot Noir Nebbiolo on the bottom.
Oh,
so if you're unsure. I got this when I first got into wine. Someone gave me this set as a gift, and it was actually really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's cool. So, but why? Why do you want to have this big round bowl for Pinot Noir and Nebbiolo? Rodolfo, can you tell me?
Something tells me it has to do with the aromatics.
It does. It does. So it maximizes the aroma in delicate wines, but you'll notice a difference between this wider bowled glass and this glass. Both have really large bowls, but one is more like tulip shaped. So one concentrates the aromas before it leaves the glass here, and the other one does not. So this is a oaked Chardonnay glass, which is interesting because where Pinot Noir and Nebbiolo are both quite delicate wines, but they're also, they're both quite delicate wines. So you want to try and capture the aroma here. So kind of narrow it down so it doesn't all escape. But then when you've got a wine that has a lot of oak influence, it helps if that's not too overpowering. Otherwise, it throws the wine or the aromatics of the wine off balance, and it can make the wine actually feel quite clumsy. So it's nice to have both. I have had Chardonnay out of a Pinot Noir glass many times in my life.
Solo cup, yep.
Solo cup. Also true. Sorry to all of my previous wine teachers. So that's kind of the Pinot Noir glass. I think it's nice to have. If you're having a nice Burgundy, it does make a difference compared to this. So
given what you'll pay for a proper Burgundy, it's not too much to ask to have the right stemware.
Yeah. And if you're in a restaurant and you're ordering an expensive bottle of Burgundy and they don't switch out your glassware, I judge them. I do, and I'm not afraid to say it. I judge them. Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask. Like, if you're paying a lot of money for a bottle of wine in a restaurant, especially a Burgundy, ask for a Burgundy glass. They probably have them. And if they don't, I would be very surprised. So, okay. The next glass that you might want to have in your cupboard is like a basic white wine glass. And that's going to be smaller. It's going to have a smaller bowl. It's going to look more like this, again, compared to this, right? More narrow.
Yep.
Sharpens aromatics and preserves acidity. So this is why we want to have like a, if you're drinking a nice Sancerre or something, this is a good glass. Good glass. Next, what about Bordeaux? What kind of glass would you drink a Bordeaux wine out of, Rodolfo? Would it look like either of these?
It would look more like the one in your left hand.
But bigger.
Right.
Nice, Rodolfo.
Yeah.
I didn't prep him for that.
No.
He actually just knows. Who would have thought?
It's rare, but it happens.
This is actually, I'm ashamed that this is actually not a polished glass. Yeah, what would my guests say? So this is like more for channeling fruit and taming tannins, right? You've got a wider opening. I don't know if you can really tell. Yeah, it's a wider opening.
Oh wow, yeah.
Than the Pinot glass.
That's very cool. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, it's cool to have this set actually, because if you're given just like one glass at dinner, or sometimes at dinner you'll have like a Burgundy glass and a white wine glass and maybe a champagne glass, and then you tend to not see the major differences between like a Bordeaux and a Burgundy glass, for example. So those are the 4 that I would have in my cupboard if I wanted to experiment. Do you agree that that's a decent selection?
I do. I think that covers, I mean, that's more than adequate. Um, I generally have one or two types of stemware. I'm not partial to the stemless glasses.
That's
Uh,
that's good.
they are very practical, uh, but
Eh,
you are you are warming up the wine, and then depending on if you're eating at the same time, your fingerprints are all over the glass, and it looks like you let a toddler play with it. Uh, so um,
Stop letting your toddlers drink your wine, Rodolfo.
I know, I know. So I am uh, partial to one type or one sort of universal glass that is crystal. We can get into that. Uh, and that is has a fairly sizable stem, uh, and a fairly sizable not sure what we call that part. I would call it the
Bowl?
bowl.
Yeah.
Uh, and this glass, I believe, holds nearly an entire bottle of wine. Don't do
What?
it. Don't try it.
What glass is that?
It
It doesn't look like it would hold a whole bottle of wine. God, Rodolfo,
uh
hitting it
it
hard.
yeah, if not an entire one, certainly a good uh a good amount. Uh, but
Worth a try.
worth a try.
Okay.
It doesn't make for very high end drinking, but it certainly would be fun. Uh, and
Okay.
I think the important things is a stem that you can hold it by, that's sizable.
Yeah.
Uh, crystal, uh, crystal beats glass, ideally.
Yeah, it's lighter. It's
Lighter,
obviously feels fancier. It doesn't actually matter. I would say that that doesn't matter. I think crystal's nicer, but it doesn't actually change the taste. You don't need crystal.
right?
It's nicer.
It's just nicer, and it tends to be thinner. Um,
Yeah.
and exactly. So what you don't want is a thick rimmed glass at the top.
Right. Like this, which is
Yeah.
a whiskey glass, obviously, right? And why is that, Rodolfo? Why does the rim matter so much? That, yeah.
You tell us.
Well, okay. It's about the way that the wine, it's actually not just not just important about the thickness of the rim of your glass, but it's also important about the angle that the wine enters your mouth. So this is really nerdy, but it's science backed. Basically, the Salto glass, for example, has a very sharp edge, very thin, sharp edge. And certain wine glasses will actually design the angle that the wine enters your mouth in a way that, in order for it to hit the right part of your tongue, to accentuate certain like flavor profiles in the wine. So for example, if the rim is thicker and the angle is, deeper, then the wine will actually go further into your mouth when you take a sip, and your tongue is divided into different areas. So basically, for example, if the wine first hits the outsides of your mouth, then you're going to pick up acidity more. So certain wine glasses will have certain thicknesses, or usually a thinner rim is better for most wine glasses anyways. But a whiskey glass purposely has a thick rim because it's very high in alcohol. And yeah, it's all about how it hits your tongue.
Yes, your entire mouth is not just your tongue, but also the sides, the bottom, top. It it senses uh, uh, it senses the different uh, things that we perceive, like sweetness, savoriness, acidity, etc., all over, and in particular, tannins as well are perceived in different parts of our mouth. So these glasses are particularly designed to uh, not overemphasize tannin, or to deliver it to the part of your mouth that you'd want to perceive them in.
Yeah.
And there's a book called Beyond Flavor by a master of wine called Nick Jackson. I think it's in its second edition now, and I highly recommend it if you are really into wine and have some extra time. Uh,
Okay. Also, I had to look it up in the background because when I bought my first set of Salto glasses are very expensive and they're very fragile, so it's like a big thing. If you're really into wine and you want to invest in Salto glasses, I highly recommend it. But when you have a dinner party, if you've got a drunk friend, give them a different glass because it hurts when it breaks. But I remember when I first got my first set of Salto glasses, and somebody was like, you know that they're designed after the Earth's axis? And I was like, what are you talking about? And apparently it's not a gimmick. The company actually claims that these angles enhance the wine's balance and expression. And this is apparently angled after the Earth's axis, people. So there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot to look into if you're really into it. If you really
that's
want
intense. I didn't know that.
to, yeah. It's basically how the wine spreads in the glass and how aroma compounds gather at the rim and how they hit your tongue. So I think we've covered that enough. I don't think we need to go more in depth on that.
No, I also think practicality is a consideration. So if you're, you know, some of this finer stemware is not dishwasher friendly.
I throw
Uh,
mine in the dishwasher though, always.
Sorry.
I'm a dishwasher girl. I
Yeah,
throw my Altos in the dishwasher. But yeah,
I put my stemware in the dishwasher, but uh, keep that in mind when if you're looking at stemware is a dishwasher safe and or how does it play with your dishwasher? Because some dishwashers just aren't designed for that kind of stemware, and then you'll just be washing it by hand, which uh, is laborious and also not you can break a fair amount of stemware in hand washing. So
yeah.
definitely a consideration.
Yes.
Uh,
Okay. So I wanted to give some examples of experiments that people can do at home.
oh,
Um, because hold on a second. I think like I have. Oh, I didn't talk about the ISO glass yet. I want to do that too. Okay. So if you want to do an
remember
experiment
those.
at home, you can do the aroma trap experiment. So this is for if you have like an aromatic white wine. So let's say you've got a Gewürztraminer or Sauvignon Blanc. Take a tall water glass and take a small juice glass and then take a tulip-shaped wine glass. A tulip-shaped wine glass, I mean, you can use this. This is the white wine glass that I was showing before. But a good example of a tulip-shaped wine glass is actually the champagne glass. And I know a lot of
Yes.
people think that this is a champagne glass. This is an enemy to me. Do not serve people champagne in this, please. I know I probably sound like an asshole, and maybe that
or
makes sense,
or
but like
the old school that
coupe,
sort of the old school sort of bowl that opens up widely.
Marie
Uh,
Antoinette breast, you mean?
yeah, I wasn't going to go there, but yeah,
Sometimes you have to go there, Rodolfo.
mm,
Yeah,
it's
the
safer
coupe,
to let you do it. So
the coupe. It happened. It already happened. So, do like I I feel like I'm too intense when I'm like, do not serve your champagne in this glass. Do not serve your champagne in this glass, please, because it sucks and you get no aromatics out of this glass, right? There are aromatic compounds that are volatile in a glass of wine, and you want to try and capture them, especially if they're delicate. And that's like the whole point of this. You have all this surface area for oxygen, right? And oxygen opens up a wine and softens a wine. And then the idea of this one is because Pinot Noir and Nebbiolo are delicate, right? We went through this. The aromatic compounds that are volatile are released as you swirl the wine and as it opens up, and they collect here, and then it's tapered, so you can actually collect them. Now in this glass, there's no space. You're just losing out on the amazing like aromatics of your champagne. So that is why this is actually the proper champagne glass. Even though, again, I admit I drink my champagne in this glass, but this is a tulip shaped glass. So for our aromatic taste experiment, aromatic trap experiment, tall water glass, small juice glass, and either one of these. And put the same wine in each of those three glasses and taste them side by side. And you will you will notice a world of difference. And that is a really good experiment for aromatics. They're like you should actually smell the glass without swirling, and that will tell you first, and then swirl, and then sip, and taste them kind of next to each other and side by side, and it's you will see. There's also the red wine texture test, which is like if you take a big bold red wine like a Cab Sauv or a Syrah, and you take a small tumbler and a standard Bordeaux glass. So if you take like this and this, basically side by side, that will also like swirl and sip both of those side by side. And the tumbler is going to make the wine feel so much harsher and more closed. And the Bordeaux glass is going to soften and emphasize, like it's going to actually soften the wine and emphasize more, like channel that fruit and emphasize the fruit structure more. Try that.
I'm super pleased that Jana brought this up, because you can listen to people tell you what to do or not to do and talk about these things, but it's not until you really sort of do an A/B comparison that you realize this is not made up stuff. I mean, there's some very serious companies that devote a lot of R&D to this stuff. So it's not just a marketing tool.
Yeah. Another one that I think I did this one when I was learning blind tasting, and actually learning just when I was in wine school, which I think we were both in wine school for a really long time. Takes a while. It's a lot to learn. We'll never know it all. Okay. For acidity, we used to taste in Burgundy glasses versus white wine glasses, which is interesting. If you're tasting, for example, like a Riesling, which are high acidic or high acidity wines. You can also try it with something like an Albarino. But if you take a large Burgundy style bowl and then you taste the same wine next to it in a white wine glass, so again, that's these two, you'll also notice a very big difference in the perception of acidity, because in the large bowl, the wine's going to feel rounder and a lot less like knackish, snappy. My German is taking over. And in the narrow glass, the acidity is going to pop and feel a lot more like linear and focused. So that's also why I think when you're visiting a wine region and you go to the winery and you taste on site, the winery will have good glasses. If you're at a nice winery that's producing like thoughtful, well-made wines, they will be serving you wines in a glass that they think is appropriate for the perception of their wines. And then a lot of times you'll be like at the winery and you're having such a great time and you're enjoying it. You're talking to the winemaker and you're like, oh my God, this wine is like perfection. And then you take it home, you take a bottle home and you drink it out of like a tumbler and you're like, this is not the same thing. Was I drunk or like, and it's not the wine's fault. Okay. Do it some justice. At least drink it in a universal glass like this. Okay.
Do you often find yourself asking the question, was I drunk?
I have asked myself that question a number of times in my professional life. No, I'm just kidding.
And if you ever want to have fun, there are blind tasting glasses that are black.
I have them.
I do too. And I mean, it's a very humbling experience. Not just blind tasting, particularly if you're doing double blind. Yeah, I see them in the top left. Yeah, and
not tall enough. Keep going, Ralpho.
And wow, you won't be you won't. Yep, those are it. I think they're made by Riedel, and you won't have anything to go by. So and then there's also one practical thing which I think we're almost out of time, but one practical thing I was going to mention is you don't want the glass to narrow too much at the top. I learned this with some fine stemware that looked brilliant. But if you have a Roman nose like I do, you'll run into a logistical issue where you can't have your lips and your nose near the glass. And I can't believe I'm admitting to this. Yeah. So I was like, we can end on that note. But I was like, man, these glasses look great, but I either smell or I drink. I can't do both. So Jana doesn't have that issue, but uh, yeah, not so much. I'm not going to do a profile here after what I just said, but
Oh,
I couldn't. Well, that one we already know why.
what are we doing here?
Yeah, you see. So we already just the reason why that stemware is all looks and no science.
Yeah, well, there is one thing though that we didn't like. We bashed the flute and we bashed the coupe. The reason the coupe is bad, because we never got into that, has a very wide open bowl, is because here. So the reason why people like this is because the bubbles have a long way to travel and they tend to last longer, and people say that it's finer. The coupe, you lose the carbonation, like the bubbles, very, very quickly because there's not very much surface area for them to have to travel, and the wine tends to fall flat. And there's no aromatic intensity because it just dissipates.
Yeah,
So there's that. I would say we are very close to time. We've got a couple minutes left. Larry, I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that this was valuable. I am looking at all these empty glasses and I'm just really thirsty at this point, but I've still got to go to the gym. So, it's going to have to wait. One more glass that I want to cover because I had it here and I keep giving all the praise to the universal glass, but I have to say, and Rodolfo, I really am curious about what you think about the ISO glass because this is our study glass. This is what I think, every blind tasting exam I've ever done over the years was always in this glass. And for that reason, I will still, when I'm doing an actual blind tasting with friends or just with my husband while we're cooking dinner, I will pull this out because I think that it's like a fair, it's how I learned. But it gives every wine kind of the same chance, I guess, when you're trying to do a flight of blind wines and they're all really different and you can't actually choose the right glass for the right varietal or for the right kind of blend, then I do love to bring this out for blind tastings.
yeah. Absolutely. Otherwise, the type of stemware would be giving you a hint as to what is in there.
Exactly. Yeah. So international standard. What is it? ISO international standard.
That's a really good question. I was wondering about BO.
Well, time to Google something. Awesome. Well, we are at time. Rodolfo, thank you very much for geeking out about glassware with me.
Super geeky.
I think we'll do this again and we'll bring on Riedel and get into the varietal glasses because I feel like this is a pretty good example actually. So maybe we can be on here.
And you heard some names to look out for, like Zalto, Riedel, Ravenscroft. I would argue Spiegelau.
Gabriel glass is also very, very good. But Salto put out a new glass. What is it called? The Hütte. Salto, Josefina Hütte from Salto. It's really nice. It's got kind of like a juts out here, gorgeous glass. Maybe one of the most actually expensive wine glasses on the market right now. Also created and designed by Salto. So yeah, there's a few to look out for. I also really like the Gabriel glass though. Yeah. On that note,
alrighty.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week for another Wine Wednesday.
Terrific. Thanks, everyone.
Empty glass cheers.
Cheers. Bye.